Dinner parties had always been my arena. My stage, my proof that I could pull beauty and warmth from nothing but a menu plan and a clean tablecloth. I was the one who arranged the flowers to look effortless, who curated playlists that kept conversation buzzing, who presented dishes like works of art. People left my parties remembering how everything felt so easy, so flawless, and how I had made it that way. So when Mark, my husband, steady, reliable, logical Mark, suggested that we host our first big dinner in our new house, I was already picturing myself accepting the praise. But then, with that maddening calmness of his, he said, "This time, I'll do the cooking." I laughed out loud, a sharp bark that startled even me. You're serious?" "Dead serious," he replied. His tone was even, his eyes steady, like he had already decided. "I've been practicing. The word gnawed at me. Practicing was what you did before karaoke night or before running a 5K. Cooking was an art, something that required taste, intuition, a feel for timing that couldn't be learned from a few YouTube videos. Cooking was my thing. Still, I brushed it off with a little smirk. "All right, chef. We'll see." Secretly, I was almost excited. He'd stumble. He'd fumble. He'd learned that not everything could be conquered with lists and logic. And then, when the guests were politely pushing food around on their plates, I'd swoop in with dessert, rescue the night, and reassert my place. When the day came, I had the house immaculate. The candles were arranged, the glasses polished, the playlist loaded with a seamless blend of Miles Davis, Norah Jones, and some tasteful indie. But Mark had locked me out of the kitchen. Literally, every time I tried to peek, he'd plant himself in the doorway, wooden spoon in hand, and say, "Go relax. I've got this." I hovered in the hallway like an exile. My friends arrived with bottles of wine, their laughter filling the house. Hugs, kisses, compliments on the decor. Then came the inevitable question. "So, what's on the menu?" I forced a smile that felt stretched too tight. "Oh, Mark's cooking tonight." The laughter was immediate. Exactly what I expected. "Mark, your Mark. Since when does he cook?" This I got to see. I basted in it. For a moment. The stage was set. Then he brought out the first course, carrot ginger soup, garnished with a swirl of cream and sprigs of cilantro. He set it down like he'd been doing it his whole life. Everyone dipped in and silence fell. The kind of silence that means shock. "Wow," Vanessa whispered. "This is really good, Mark." "Did you make this?" someone else asked, incredulous. He just shrugged, smiling like he didn't need the praise. I tasted mine. The balance was perfect. Smooth, bright, with just enough ginger heat. Better than the one I tried 3 times and never quite nailed. My chest tightened. "Well, it's just soup," I said quickly, my laugh too sharp. Hard to mess that up. But then the main course came. braised short ribs tender enough to melt with a red wine reduction that glistened on the plate. He paired it with roasted root vegetables and mashed potatoes whipped so smooth they looked like silk. The room erupted. Groans of delight, fork scraping plates clean. Vanessa, who complained about everything, leaned back in her chair and declared, "This is better than the stuff at Le Jardin." Jardin, the most expensive French restaurant in the city, my temple. And she compared my husband's food to that. I tried to laugh again, but it came out brittle. Who knew Mark had this hidden chef inside him? I said, half joking, half spiteful. Guess we know now, someone replied, raising their glass to him. To the chef. Everyone echoed it. To the chef. They clinked glasses, while I sat there with my fake smile plastered on, heat rising in my face. And then dessert, a pear tart with a golden crust, handmade, the fruit sliced with precision, the whipped cream sitting like a crown. Applause broke out. Actual applause. People asked for seconds. People begged for the recipe. By the end of the night, the compliments were so one-sided it felt like I wasn't even in the room. They weren't talking about my decor or my playlist or the hours I spent setting the table. They were talking about him. When the last guest left, I shut the door and turned on him. You just couldn't let me have this, could you? I spat, arms crossed, nails digging into my skin. Mark blinked at me. What are you talking about? Cooking is my thing, Mark. My thing? You embarrassed me in front of everyone. You made me look irrelevant. He stared at me, the towel still in his hands. Slowly, carefully, he said, I wasn't trying to embarrass you. I wanted to do something for us. I wanted to show you what I've been working on. Why does it have to be a competition? But to me, it was a competition. Everything suddenly felt like a competition. He had swooped in and stolen the one arena where I shined, and he hadn't even broken a sweat doing it. The next morning, my phone buzzed with texts. Tell Mark that dinner was unforgettable. Mark should cook every time. Can you send me the recipe for those short ribs? Not a single word about my playlist. Not one comment on my centerpiece. Nothing about me. I sat there scrolling, each message a fresh sting. For years, I had been the star. Now, with one dinner, he had shifted the spotlight. And worse, he didn't even seem to want it. He was content, humming as he cleaned up, like the praise rolled off him without consequence. But I felt hollow. I realized that all those parties I'd hosted, all those compliments I'd chased, they weren't about love or generosity. They were about me needing to be seen. And now, with one act of quiet competence, Mark had revealed how shallow that need was. I wanted to scream. I wanted to storm into the kitchen and tell him never to do it again. But what good would that do? He wasn't trying to humiliate me. He had just been better. And everyone saw it. By the afternoon, Vanessa had posted on Instagram, best dinner ever, courtesy Of Chef Mark. Photos of the soup, the ribs, the tart. My living room glowed in the background. But no one cared. The likes poured in for him. And in that moment, I finally understood. My identity had been built on applause. His had been built on quiet, consistent effort. And when the two collided, applause evaporated, but effort stayed. The bitter truth. I had lost. And I couldn't even blame him.